What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of for Attack on Titan, the final season. So this is actually going to be two episodes, a review for both episode 14 and 15 because of what happened last week with the earthquake, which is why we didn't put out a video for Attack on Titan last week. The first 17 minutes of the episode came out, and that's really all that all that came out before apparently the broadcast got cut off. So this week they released both episodes on Crunchyroll and the other streaming platforms. So we have both 14 and 15 this week to talk about.
Yeah. So we pick up right after episode 13, in which Eren meets with Mikasa, Armin, and then of course Gabby is also sitting alongside them in the table. And
yeah, Gabby's pretty much just the whole time she doesn't really. I think somebody pointed out she kept her hands on the table the entire time. She doesn't.
I mean,
move.
If you remember, she was hell bent on going after Eren this entire time, and then you just see her right now. She just sits there and just does absolutely nothing. She just does.
Yeah, she's just in shock. I think. She can barely. She just can't do anything, and I guess I don't know. I guess it shows that Gabby she's just I don't know if you'd say she's all talk or something, or she likes to talk a big game, but then when she's faced with Eren, she just can't do anything about it. She can't she's just scared of him. And
Eren has put everyone into a position that he can literally transform into a Titan at any moment, because you can see, if you remember in the prior episode to this, that he had I think his right palm slit, so he can literally transform at any moment, just like that same situation in which he and Reiner was talking at Marley during the festival.
It's pretty similar to that scene,
but during their discussion, Mikasa and Armin are just really wanted to talk to Eren of why he's really doing this. And Eren supposedly he's claiming he's doing this of his own free will and not from Zeke's. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to really believe this, because if you remember, Eren got this idea about of wanting to start the rumbling because it was originally Zeke's idea, or supposedly it was Zeke's idea of telling.
It was part of his plan.
I guess to I don't know, for aliens to reclaim their status as free people against Marley or something like that, but I don't.
Well, not necessarily. We find out what he wants to do in the next episode,
but of course the conversation just pretty much intensifies with Eren pretty much telling Armin that he knows that he's been visiting Annie the entire time since Armin devoured Bertolt and gained his Titan abilities, but he also supposedly he got his memories as well.
Yeah, Eren claims that he believes that that's because of Bertolt's memories. If Armin inherits Bertolt's memories, that he might also inherit I don't know. I suppose other things from Bertolt, his I guess his, because obviously we know that he liked Annie, so he wonders if he inherited that as well.
It makes sense, because we haven't really seen Armin visit Annie not until just recently, so
it is very strange how all of a sudden he's doing this, but I think he's just doing it as a way to get certain things off his chest, and just it essentially, because he's pretty much just talking to himself, but I don't know. I can't really say for certain why he's doing it. Eren could be right about him just having some of the things from Bertolt aside from just his memories, and that could be the reason why.
But then he really goes after Mikasa really hard. Because he noticed that Mikasa has been getting all these these recent headaches, and she's been getting flashback images, and he points out that Mikasa, because Mikasa is from the Ackerman bloodline, that her family's been programmed to protect the Eldian royal family, and and in the process, because like now that Eren has the founding Titan, it's part of the Eldian royal family. So he supposedly, like, Eren believes that Mikasa like has been programmed to protect Eren because of supposedly Eren has that royal bloodline now. But if we remember, like back during their childhood, Eren didn't really have the royal bloodline at the time. So, like,
yeah, he doesn't. I don't really think he gets it necessarily until like after his father injects him with the Titan formula, I think. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of feels like there's some holes in that theory, but it does seem to kind of make sense. But Eren basically goes on to say he and really, like, this is kind of hard to watch, like how he's like says he's always hated Mikasa because she's been a slave to her Ackerman blood, and she can't stand people, or he can't stand people who are just slaves because they aren't free.
Part of me just doesn't believe that he really means that, though. It's just like,
yeah, I have to wonder like how much of this is just it is just him. He's lying. I don't know if he's being totally honest.
Maybe.
Because even Armin points out in their conversation, like, asked if Eren isn't a slave himself to something.
Yeah, I mean, and then of course, like, like you said, like Eren just pretty much like tells Mikasa that he's hated her since they were children, and that pretty much sets Armin off to just literally just punch him in the face. But Eren just like literally just completely overpowers him, like just literally almost beating him to near death. And well, I mean, Armin can still recover from this, but you can tell like there's going to be a lot of emotional scars, but for both Armin and Mikasa after this.
Well, actually, at first when Armin lunges at him, Mikasa actually stops him.
I mean, it's pretty much like Eren trying to prove his point.
And then Eren thinks that, proves his point about the Ackerman blood.
Yeah, but of course, but he still goes after Eren. But yeah, Eren just like completely overpowers and beats him down afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but of course, like he orders like his Jaeger's followers to apprehend Armin, Mikasa, and Gabi, to take them all to where it all began, which is the Shiganshina district. And I'm wondering like where what he's gonna be doing over there. And then of course Eren still plans to rejoin Zeke at some point.
Yeah, because as we know, that's like as soon as he got out of prison, like that's what he was trying to do, is find Zeke. And speaking of Zeke, we actually rejoined Zeke when they cut back to Zeke and Levi in the forest.
Yeah, and pretty much we see like Levi talking to Zeke. Well, actually, no. Levi plans to have Zeke eaten to prevent Eren from using the Beast Titan. So he pretty much talks to Zeke, like pretending like he never had that conversation. But then, of course, Levi still keeps watch over them, and all of a sudden, like Zeke just runs away out of nowhere. Then, and I'm wondering like why he did that. But it comes, we come to find out that he ends up screaming and turns like everyone in the forest into pure Titans.
Yeah, and it's revealed, of course, that it's because they drank the wine. Levi was one of the, I think, was he the only one that didn't drink the wine?
Apparently so, because he allowed like all of his comrades to pretty much drink the wine because they were excited to even have that stuff. But unfortunately, like that was like Zeke's plan all along.
Yeah, and we even hear that see that his scream supposedly even reached some of the other military personnel and even Pixis, but it doesn't do anything to them. I suppose because of how far away they are, it doesn't have an effect.
Yeah, and
I guess it's limited by
Falco
distance.
is also affected by this as well because if you remember, Niccolo hit him over the head with the wine bottle, and apparently he got some of the wine into his mouth.
Yeah, so we know that for sure he's also swallowed the spinal fluid. And he says that it feels like a shock went through him.
And then of course and of course Levi just pretty much like aggressively goes after Zeke afterwards, and he just immediately easily takes him down like with the thunder spears like soon afterward.
Yeah. Zeke was counting on Levi to hesitate against his former comrades, but he pretty much kills them after they turn him.
I mean, he's like he doesn't take in the fact that Levi's killed so many of these pure titans before, so it's, I mean, he hesitates at first, but it's pretty much natural for him, and obviously, like, he doesn't view like all the pure titans as being alive anymore just because they don't have, pretty much the pure titans don't have like any of their humanity left unless they devour like a warrior titan.
I mean, it's pretty much if your friends got turned into zombies, like you wouldn't really, I mean, maybe you'd hesitate, but they're not alive anymore, so they're
yeah. So I mean, yeah, and Zeke is like, after that, Levi hits Zeke with a thunder spear, even in his beast titan form. He's just like, he's just like literally just burnt to a crisp.
It wasn't really much of a fight. Like he just hits him with the thunder spear, and that pretty much does it. Like, I mean, and I really think that Zeke is also at a disadvantage here because as opposed to season 3, he's not in a wide open field, and he's not surrounded by pure titans. So he doesn't really have much of an advantage. He's in a forest where Levi can easily maneuver around with his maneuver gear, and pretty much easily take out.
Yeah, and Levi just basically ties him up and then like shoves a thunder spear into his freaking stomach, and then sets it to a point where like it'll explode if Zeke were to move around too much. I honestly, here's my opinion. Zeke needs to die because he's caused way too much damage at this point, and if he were to run around like even further, he's gonna even cause even more damage. I mean, Levi still plans on having him devoured by another person, to take his beast titan abilities, but I just can't see the benefit of doing that anymore because Levi's
The Beast Titan would pass on anyway, as far as we know, even if he did get killed and not devoured,
but
supposedly.
But Zeke himself, he needs to go. Like I don't know if it's Levi or someone else, but Zeke, he's too dangerous of an individual to let free roam around. Because if he were to get into town and then scream. Yeah. Like he's gonna turn like everyone who's like consumed his spinal fluid into pure titans.
Yeah, Zeke is sort of like a ticking time bomb. Well, I mean, you could say that people that consume the wine are, but Zeke is sort of like the catalyst for it. So yeah, I mean, he's kind of like a living weapon at this point because of what he can do.
And we also see like one other scene back in the city in which Flock pretty much takes the Jaegerists and like recruits like a lot of like scouts to pretty much join their cause. But the first thing they ask him to do is like pretty much beat the living crap out of like Keith Sades.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I wasn't sure how this scene was going to play out at first because I thought there would be some people who would not be okay with this and there maybe like be some infighting or something, but they're just, it seems like they're mostly on board because they all just kind of beat him up. But it's kind of weird because we actually don't see it happen. It cuts away and then he's just
the scene just like literally just skips and then like he's just like literally on the ground just beaten to a bloody pulp, and then that was it. Unless they actually showed this in the manga, or maybe they just
that's what I was thinking, is that maybe it was something that was cut, but they could have had played out in that way in the manga. It was just kind of weird how they like, they clench their fists and then like the next thing you see is them just beaten to a pulp.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty much that's the entirety of episode 14. No, was it 14 or was it? Yeah, it was 14. It was 14. Okay. And then, of course, the last thing we see is like Levi taking Zeke and Zeke remembering things that happened in this past. Like he mentions like, where are my glasses? And we found out that the glasses used to belong to a previous owner of the Beast Titan.
Yeah.
So that leads us into episode 15, in which majority of the episode is mainly a flashback focusing on Zeke's backstory.
Yeah, we actually get more context as to why he sold his parents out to the Marleyan government. I thought, like, I kind of assumed what his reasons were in season 3, but it turns out it's a little bit more complicated than that.
It's because Grisha and his first wife Dina, they were forming the Restorationist rebellion group, and they wanted Zeke in their plans to become the Beast Titan, so they're pretty much like use him like as a weapon against the Marleyans.
Yeah, like they pretty much just treated him as a tool, not so much as like their own son.
And I guess I can understand why Zeke ended up throwing his parents under the bus, and not to mention like he developed a relationship with the previous owner of the Beast Titan named I think his name is Tom Saver. That's his name.
I think it was something like that. Yeah. Yeah, we learned about him as well, and we learned that he pretty much like he I think he was also an honorary Marleyan or whatever. Like he's an Eldian technically. And like we learned his reasons for wanting to inherit the Beast Titan. But yeah, like he'd basically become sort of like a father figure for Zeke because his actual father was not actually interested in actually like basically like being his father. He's more like he just like I said, it tried to use him more as like a tool. And it seems like Zeke harbors like a lot of resentment because of that.
Yeah, and of course Tom, like he has a really tragic backstory due to his status as an honorary Marleyan, because we find out that both his wife and his son were, well, actually his wife both slit their son and her own throat because she found out that the person she married is an Eldian, and that pretty much broke the poor guy. And of course, like he pretty much saw Zeke like almost as like a second son to him, like almost like as the son, like exactly the same son as the one he lost. And pretty much
and I mean he also mentions he only inherited the Beast Titan, so because he would pretty much be guaranteed to die.
Yeah, but yeah, eventually it all comes down to like to Zeke's like pretty much downward spiral with his relationship with his parents, and then that's of course when we get to the part where like he pretty much sells out his parents, and then that's of course we already found out what happened.
But before he does this too, it's like I think he tells everything to
Tom.
I can't remember what was that? Tom. Yeah, they're Eldian restorationists. And I guess because like I don't know the reason. I guess because he trusts him or something. He felt like he could tell him that. And then of course he tells Zeke that the only thing he can do is to sell out his parents to the government. I kind of was assuming that this would be what would because Zeke, as we see in this episode, is kind of underperforming as like a warrior candidate, and I was wondering if this might be what would make him be more like likely to be be the warrior candidate and inherit the Beast Titan, is because like the Marleyan government would see that he sold his family out, and maybe he would be more respected by them because of that. I suppose
it's. I mean, he pretty much he did it to save himself too, because if for example, if like Grisha and Dina were to get caught, even without Zeke selling him out, like he would be like he would also be like taken over to the Paradise Island and be turned into a pure Titan in the process.
Yeah, and I mean, we even see in this episode that it seems like the Marley government is starting to I guess it seems like they're figuring out who the owl might be and who he's connected with, and because Zeke actually overhears them having like a conversation about this. So it seems like it might have been inevitable that the Marley would have found out like who the Restorationists were, and then everybody would have been screwed. So it's probably like the events that took place were probably like the best version of what could have happened. The more you think about it, I guess, like, you know, that.
Yeah, and then of course eventually, like, Zeke does eventually inherit the Beast Titan soon afterwards, and then we see another scene in which we see Zeke, I think, talking to Reiner and Bertholdt, talking about the situation with Eren becoming the founding Titan. Then of course, like, Zeke of course is surprised by this, upon finding out that he has a half brother and that his father, well, he was alive at the time, but of course he's not, because he no longer has the founding Titan abilities.
Yeah, he thought that his father was dead. So yeah, he's pretty much shocked by this, and then after that we cut forward again to him actually meeting up with Eren after he's infiltrated Marley.
At the hospital, and that's where we find out that where Eren got the baseball from is from Zeke. And pretty much, like, I don't know what to take from this meeting, because either Zeke really wanted to see Eren to help him, or like Eren is maybe it's possible like Eren might be using Zeke for his own goals or something like that.
It seems like the way this scene plays out, like, we find out what Zeke's plan is that basically he wants to make it so that the Eldians can't reproduce.
He wants to euthanize the Eldian population.
Euthanize the Eldians.
And the best example was when he told, like, Levi that the reason why he turned all of his all of the scouts in the force into pure Titans is just to save them from reproducing or having children to suffer whatever it is they're gonna go through.
Yeah, pretty much in Zeke's deluded mind, he believes he's saving them by, turning them into these pure Titans and, having them be killed. And that's, like, I guess in his mind, the best course of action. And it seems like Eren, it seems at least that Eren agrees to this plan, but if you pay attention, Eren never explicitly agrees to his plan. He just says, it seems like he does, because he says, it seems like he's going to go along with it, but he never really says whether or not I think that if he is agreeing to Zeke's plan. So, because we know that Eren's goals are kind of like the polar opposite of Zeke's, whereas Eren wants to completely genocide all the Marleyans, as opposed to where it seems like Zeke wants to euthanize the Eldian people. So it's like they have two opposite goals, but I think Eren might go along with it because the way in which Zeke wants to accomplish that goal is in line with the ways Eren wants to do it, or something. Is what I could take away from that.
And it seems I'm pretty sure it's possible Eren knows that about Zeke's spinal fluid being in all the wine that the military is.
I think there's going to be a moment in the story where Eren is definitely going to, like, betray Zeke, and Zeke probably won't see it.
And of course, the end of the episode, like, Zeke, like, of course, like, finishes his story, and Levi pretty much overhears, like, what Zeke wants to do about euthanizing the Eldian people, and before he can really find out, Zeke just, like, pretty much goes off and intentionally sets off the Thunder Spear inside, stuck inside of his body, and then pretty much blows up both himself and Levi next to him.
It's probably like the worst cliffhanger this episode could have ended on.
Then we got next week's episode, which is gonna be the last episode of, supposedly of the core, assuming when they're gonna continue it. But yeah, it's like, it was like it pretty much gives us a new perspective on Zeke as a character now. I mean, part of me sympathizes with him, but at the same time, he's caused too much damage for me to really even care, because
I just don't know if I really agree with the conclusion he came to, is that, because he saw firsthand the discrimination the Eldian people faced, and his solution is that they need to be euthanized, which I'm not really sure how he came to that, but it could be maybe because of the Marleyan propaganda, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, it's just like, I do feel bad for him because of the way he was, what happened in his childhood, and unfortunately, it seems like the situation with him and his parents, like, really had no happy ending, no matter which way you look at it. But of course, what his solution is to, this problem with between the Eldians and Marleyans is, I'm not exactly sure why he thinks that would solve anything. But then at the same time, I guess you could also make that same argument with Eren, where he believes that the best thing to do is to genocide Marley. So it's like, I guess you could say both are kind of, it's just like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, both kind of have this very similar goals, but a different, different groups of people.
Yeah, just like each of them wants a different outcome than the other, though they don't really specifically state it to each other unless they see each other again, which I'm assuming that, well, Zeke is likely to survive this because he
probably will, because, like, as we know, he was pretty messed up once he got hit with the Thunder Spear, but he regenerated, even though he still looks pretty bad. He could probably survive that, and that's probably the reason why he did that, is because he knew he could survive.
I don't know about
Levi.
I don't even know about Levi, because he was, like, literally next to it.
Yeah, Levi seems, I don't know, like, that's I don't know if he had actually survived.
Unless he somehow managed to, put some distance from, him and Zeke, but he still got caught in the blast regardless.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be pretty messed up, even if he does live. He's probably going to have some kind of burns or something. If he actually did survive.
But I don't know if we're going to ever find out about that. Even if, like,
yeah, like, hopefully he actually does show up in there. Unless otherwise we might just be left hanging, wondering what happened to Levi after this part of the final season's over.
Overall, I still stand my opinion that Zeke needs to die, because, like, Eren's plan is one thing, but Zeke is like I said, he's caused too much damage on his own already, because he's turned Connie's, pretty much the majority of, like, Connie's village into pure Titans. He's killed, like, the majority of the scouts back in the in season 3. Yeah, and he was partly responsible for, like, pretty much, so many civilians dying during the Battle of Marley. And of course, of course this. And now we find we find out that his plan is to euthanize his own people, which is, like, even more insane than what it is right now. But
yeah, I guess you could say, at least with Eren, like, he is trying to save his people, but but his plan is just so crazy and just, like, the most extreme solution ever. But you could also lob the same thing at Eren and say, Eren has also done pretty much the same thing as Zeke, where he's killed multiple civilians and killed many different people. And from what I know of what's going to happen later in the story, he will kill countless people, many more people. So we could also say that Eren most likely deserves to die as well. But yeah. Anyways, I don't really have too much else to say about these episodes. They were pretty good. Like, I'm not sure which one I liked better. Like, episode 14 was great. It was, it had some mostly decent action scenes. That they're still, of course, using the CG for the Beast Titan, but there were some scenes where they actually utilized 2D and,
I think my favorite scene still was the Eren, Mikasa, and Armin confrontation at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, that was the best part. Like, I think 14 had some of the best, like dialogue with the scenes like that, and then it had some pretty great fight scenes. 15 was more of just a kind of giving more context for certain characters like Zeke and why he's doing what he's doing. But it was still a great episode, because at least we actually have more perspective for why Zeke is doing what he's doing. But yeah, other than that, I don't have too much else to say about these. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, it was a good 2 sets of episodes that we got, even though, like, we had to wait, like, a little over a week for this. But yeah, I definitely can't wait to see what how they're gonna finish this this part of the season off by next week.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're setting up for something big if they're going going back to Shiganshina. Just wondering what's what or the climax of this season's or this part of the season at least is going to be.
And not to mention that that the manga is going to officially end by next month, so they'll have plenty of.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
I
just thought of something too. Is that we haven't seen Peak, Reiner, or Galliard, or we have seen Peak, but we haven't seen Reiner and Galliard.
I think
I'm wondering
it's likely
if
that they're already on the island. We just haven't seen them make their move yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to have some involvement in the next episode. Is that they'll probably attempt to get Gabby back or something. That might be how the next episode plays out. And of course, we also know about that. That there's going to be the attack on Paradise Island and all that, but that's supposedly not supposed to happen for like 6 months at this point. So yeah, I'm curious as to what will happen, but I guess we'll just have to wait for next week. At least we got 2 episodes this week, so I guess you could say it was worth the wait. But even still, like I said, this episode 15 just leaves us with this huge cliffhanger. But we also have one more episode after this. I'm almost like 100% certain this is only going to be like the first part of this season, and there's going to be more to follow. I highly doubt it's going to be a movie. I think it's just going to be part 2. That's what I think is.
It has to be part 2 because there's because from what I can tell, like there's already like a lot of material to justify another core of this, but how much?
Yeah, there's just too much for a movie.
Depending on how, this like one core alone is like 16 episodes. So, you have to wonder how long the next part is going to end up being, or whether or not if it is going to be only part 2, or if they're going to have a part 3 after this. Yeah, I definitely think they'll. I don't know how long it'll go, but yeah, part 2 and even part 3 is pretty likely. But I like I said, I'm not exactly sure how far along the manga is and how far along the in comparison to where the anime is at right now. So I'm not exactly sure how much more they need to go, but I know there is definitely like an entire story arc that's most likely coming up pretty soon that they're going to cover. So not sure how long that'll take in the anime, but I guess we'll just have to see. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for whatever's going to come next. I said, like I said before, I just hope that Studio Mappa actually is at least able to take their time with the next parts of the season before they put it out, because like I said, I know they're capable of really great things. So I'll actually want to see, what this is going to look like when they actually have the time to animate it properly. Yeah. Well, we'll have to find out how, when the official story is gonna end up finishing by next month. We know it's next month. It's just it just depends on like how much Mappa can really take their time to really adapt everything up to that point.
Right. But yeah. So that all being said, until next Sunday, we will see you all next time.